Hello, lovely ladies. Happy Thursday and welcome to our next edition of Business Blondes. So grab a coffee if you haven't already. Join us and have your sandwich with us for the next half an hour because we have a real treat for you guys in the next 30 minutes. We have our very own special guest, Penny Power OBE. We are absolutely thrilled to be getting to know you a little bit better, Penny, this morning or this afternoon. So before I give you the big welcome, ladies, what's been going on for you this week? Kim, how's your week been?
It's been really good, actually. I think we seem to have seen a real turnaround, and everyone seems to be in a good place, I guess. I think we've almost, I guess, I don't know about anybody else, we kind of like broke our normal rule and have put Christmas, the decorations up early. So I'm currently living in grotto heaven downstairs. And you kind of can't be grumpy, can you, when you've got fairy lights everywhere. But it seems to not just be me. Everybody I've spoken to seems to have done the same thing and broken that kind of don't put your decorations up till December. So maybe it's just that early festivity.
Yeah, you're right. When I walk around the village, our village, there are so many decks up already, and it does make you smile. You're absolutely right. What about you, Caroline? Are you in the festive spirit?
I am in the festive spirit. I had a picnic on a park bench in Green Park. Someone told me that Fortnum and Mason's food hall was open. So I met my oldest, bestest friend, and we went to the food hall, gathered some wonderful little tidbits, a big flask of mulled wine, and sat in the freezing cold and made the most of a beautiful festive picnic, because nothing shall wither or stop me if I want to have fun. You know me. But I also think this week there is a more of a positive upswing, and I'm finding people aren't procrastinating as much as they have been. They're thinking, well, I've got no excuse to not do things. So I'm seeing a lot more of my clients actually doing the homework, ploughing ahead, doing their social media, and I think bothering a lot more than they used to. So I think that's a very positive thing, because progress beats perfectionism. So I really like the fact that they're getting on with it.
Yeah, brilliant. I love that. Thanks, Caroline. Penny, how's your week been so far?
It's been better. I was a bit grumpy last week, I have to say. The grumps got me last week. There's a few reasons for it, but sometimes your energy just, you fight it, don't you? But so I feel a lot happier this week. I think possibly it's because I know that we can say next week we're out and about. I mean, I'm not as good as Caroline at just making sure. I sort of seem to be too accepting and just lock myself down into like a cave. Although Thomas and I did go out for a little date with a pizza in our car. We've got a takeaway pizza and sat and looked at a view together one night. But this week I'm really, I think I'm seeing two types of things going on. Those people that are saying, look, I'm an entrepreneur and I know the economy is apparently, down, and they're saying the worst drop since 300 years or whatever. But actually as an entrepreneur, we have the ability to adapt, to listen to the market, to thrive and survive no matter what the climate is. So I'm seeing that. And then I'm seeing other people who have gone into scarcity mode. But on the whole, I do feel there's a bit of a brighter, that fighting spirit, that energy of coming to the end of the year, and we can see this next year's going to be great. And well, it's got to take personal responsibility for that. And we've all got to make next year great, haven't we?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I'm seeing exactly the same, Penny. And it reminds me of lockdown 1 in March, when everybody just went into this period of reflection. I'm seeing a lot of reflection now. And I think we all see that this time of year anyway, because people are starting to look at, okay, what does next year mean for me? How can I change things if I'm not quite happy with what I've got now? So I think lockdown, along with entering into a brand new year, has resulted in a lot of reflection at the moment. And action. I also agree with you, Caroline. I think there's a lot less procrastination, a lot more sort of fighting spirit that I always talk about amongst us SMEs, and real positive notes and lots of action, which is great, which is really great. So then, Miss is Penny Power. Let me tell you a little bit about our Penny before we bombard her with some questions to help you all get to know her a little bit better if you don't already. So Penny, along with her husband Thomas Power, were all both pivoted entrepreneurial acclaim, really, back in 1998 when you grew and launched E-Academy. And I suppose, Penny, many people know you from your E-Academy days. I mean, it was nationwide, and I believe, I mean, you can put us right on this, but I believe at its peak it was around 650,000 members. I mean, that is just absolutely incredible growth that you and Thomas built there, the connectivity that you're so great at amongst entrepreneurs. And it was that and your contribution to the digital economy that earned you your OBE, which we'd love to find out a little bit more about, Penny. But nowadays, we know you as working as an entrepreneur and helping us SMEs. We all got to know each other through your mastermind group, and I know that you've continued other groups. And the support that you give and the connectivity that you are so passionate about is tremendous. So that's what you're doing and that's what you're up to nowadays. But tell us more about that, Penny. Tell us more about what drives you as an entrepreneur.
Well, I always call myself an accidental entrepreneur. I think there's a few people that sort of find either they come up with an idea, or maybe some people now are going through quite a lot of adversity. They're unsure of their job or whatever. They're seeing this as an opportunity to take some control of their life and start their own business. I think you get those people that they're born to create their own business. Maybe they've come from an entrepreneurial background in their families, but I didn't. I'm a first generation entrepreneur. Although back, my grandfather owned a biscuit factory in Scotland, which actually makes sense now because I can't stop eating biscuits. But I feel I was an accidental entrepreneur because although I had some of the traits that would be good for it, I feared risk massively. It's one of my battles in life is that the risk of taking that. I like being in a team, really. I loved managing people. I loved being a leader of people. And so in a way, the corporate world did suit me for many, many reasons. But I actually became an entrepreneur originally doing little dabbling things when the kids were born. And then the Academy idea came about. And Academy was a back of a fag packet type thing. It was in 98, it was, wouldn't it be nice to connect lonely business people who are going to be starting up their businesses on the web and help them to become friends. And when I started, I had no idea that we were starting the world's first social network. And so there wasn't a great deal of planning or even really understanding the world I was going to take myself into. And then I was on this bullet train for 14 years, and it really pushed against so many of my own personal values and desires in terms of how I wanted to live my life. And I never felt, I think other people might relate to this, I never felt that I was good in either parts of my life because I didn't really want my children to feel like I worked. I live in leafy Surrey and not one other parent in my kids' school worked. And I remember a mum saying to me, "Oh, I love my children too much to work," which implied the fact that I work means I don't. So it was, I resisted that hugely. I didn't want them to feel like I worked. So it meant that I was killing myself through the night and working, not having any boundaries around my own self-care.
I think you're right. I think many working mums will resonate with that, Penny. I think, the whole guilt that we sometimes feel and the stupid comments that people throw away without realising how that's going to impact us as working mums. I think many will resonate with that.
I think
it's a real conflict.
Sorry, I was going to say, what's great about Penny, when I first met you, I was interviewing you for the Daily Express with your fabulous book, which is behind you.
Yeah.
And what struck me was how you keep it real, Penny. You keep it so real. And I thought it was just going to be one of these lovely books that say, this is your financial forecast and this is how you do your marketing. And no, it was all about the emotional side of it. And I thought, gosh, this woman's really been through it. You've had 5 years of personal hell, financial hell, and you're so open and honest and vulnerable about it. That was what attracted me to you.
Oh, well, I think, and it was, and I think that there is a real issue for people now with building your brand. This is my identity, and this is what I need people to believe about me, because that's what's going to help me to grow a business and become successful. And then this is actually my truth, and that gap is crippling. is absolutely crippling. And I think, you know, now being vulnerable is acceptable, isn't it? You know, and I think I was always very vulnerable. But I remember I was the loneliest person in our network, Thomas and I, because, you know, the work, it was across 52 countries, 650,000 members. I could see, and they were always telling us how joyful it was, and the way they supported each other, and the way they could share their vulnerabilities with each other as friends. And I never had that person. You know, I was lonely because it wasn't my job to share that with them, because I didn't, you know, I was serving them. You know, that's, and you know, and I think this is the hardest thing.
So Penny, can I ask you then, what do you do now to protect yourself against that now?
I have you guys, which is very lovely. I tell you what, Sam, I think what protects me is a lot of what Carol Ann does with her clients, is that I in my soul found my truth.
Sure.
And I think that, you know, I think that helps me more and more to be myself, but also help me forgive myself, have the boundaries I need, understand my flaws, and contain any ambition I have within what I can cope with. And so, and I think this is the thing, I think we can't, you know, they would say you can't love until you love yourself. You know, that was the big awakening for me, was really understanding why I found business so hard as an accidental entrepreneur. I found business so hard because I didn't feel like a businesswoman. You know, I was very driven by, you know, the whole cause of connecting people, making people feel they matter, making people have the success that they want. And, you know, I needed to do that for myself, I think. And that started with me going to see a psychologist, you know, like somebody going to see Carol Ann and talking things through with, and feeling safe to do that. So I suppose I still nourish myself. One of my big overdone strengths is my independence. You know, we can all identify with things from our childhood. You know, I had that parents that were from the greatest generation. They'd been through two, you know, their parents, I mean, were from the greatest generation. They'd been through 2 world wars. They were growing up to not complain, you know, do your duty and not complain. And so as children, they didn't sit on my bed with me when I was crying and chat things through like we do with our kids. And so I learned to be phenomenally self-coaching, really. But at the same time, my personal value of myself, my own self-worth wasn't that high. And so it was all external. You know, what can I do for others? What can I do for others? And then I had to learn that I did matter. And, you know, it's a big journey, but once you do that and you create all the stuff that Kim will help her clients do, and you guys, you, Sam, you know, all 3 of you, is, you know, where are the boundaries around that, and how do you create the value so that in business you become the leader that not only helps others but doesn't destroy yourself.
Yeah.
One of the things I like to say to my clients is wisdom is healed pain. So when you think, it's a really simple sentence, wisdom is healed pain, because we earn our wisdom. You can't just acquire wisdom. Wisdom is, you know, having gone through it. And I think your wisdom is you've healed yourself, you've healed the pain of the past. And that's why you're such a wonderful, wise mastermind, business goddess and guru to us all.
I had to learn how to be a businesswoman as well. I wasn't a businesswoman. I wasn't a good enough businesswoman before. Sorry, I interrupted you, Caroline.
Well, I was going to say, none of us are born, but you found your way. So tell us how you found your way to being a brilliant businesswoman.
Well, I think a lot of people are very taken in by, you start with why, you have your sense of purpose, build your brand online, business will come to you if you do. And, you know, in that wilderness years of 5 years after Academy, from 2012 to 2017, I couldn't understand. Yeah, I was earning a lot of money doing public speaking and stuff like that. But I couldn't understand why I didn't have a business. And it was, you know, Hannah that got hold of me, my daughter, and said, Mum, how on earth would anybody buy from you? You know, and I've just had a mastermind session with some people this morning, and it's still so many business people sit in that belief system that just by being present on social media, people will know what to buy from them. But it's our job to help people understand what we're selling
Yeah.
And so I had to package myself. I mean, and that's why you three and the other masterminds were the first people that trusted me and said, we'll buy from you, not from Academy or Digital Youth Academy, which were my brands. We'll buy into you. And I think that was a big step. I mean, I remember telling you about that on our first day together. It's the trust you put in me is a huge step, but you have to go out of your comfort zone. Somebody said to me, your dreams at the other side of your comfort zone. And it's so true. I had to go through a massive comfort zone shift into, actually, I am a businesswoman, but I'm not a good enough businesswoman. And I've got to learn a lot of skills around business. So around finance, around structure, around digital skills, which, Kim's our guru on that. But, all these secondary skills that you need around your primary skills. I had to push myself through that. And I think a lot of us have to do that because it's not enough just to be known.
No, I love that. And I love the way that you have such a beautiful way of sharing your vulnerability without losing your credibility. And I think that's a key for leadership, because in sharing some vulnerability, you create a culture where it's okay to share our vulnerabilities, and all of us are vulnerable about something. But often what we're most vulnerable about is actually our superpower, not something that goes against us. So how important do you think it is, Penny, to really understand your values and stay true to them in business?
Yeah, that's a perfect question, really, because I think a lot of us don't even really know what our values are. We get driven by some form of success or ambition and we don't really understand it. So I think it's critical. I think when I really reevaluated stuff, I realized that when I was going through my reinvention through 2.5 years ago, I thought, well, why did I start Academy? Who was that person at 33 that believed in that? And it wasn't to make wealth. It wasn't to become this well-known entrepreneur across the world. It truly was to really support business owners and love them and care for them and make sure they matter and make sure they have the confidence to do what they have in their heart that they believe they can do. And that's what I went back to. And I think that's why I'm so happy. I'm 33 again, living a dream again. And this time, I think I'm 56 now, and it's, I'm not trying to educate and home children and all the costs of that. And so I'm not driven by so much scarcity. I mean, I'm driven by us having a home that we want one day again. And, there's certain things I'm driven for. I'm driven for being a great grandmum one day. So I want to make sure I build a business that's not overtaking and overwhelming my life. So my drivers have changed, but my passion and purpose hasn't. And that's quite interesting. What is driving you as a person and what is your purpose? And sometimes the two things are in conflict. Academy, I had my passion and purpose, but in the end, I was being massively driven by fear and debt and all of those other things. And then that's when the joy goes out of your life.
Yeah. And I think you're right, Penny. Like many business owners don't understand their values or their drivers. And that is the core, isn't it? We all know that as coaches. That is the core of everything. You've got to know what your drivers are and live by and be aligned with your values. But you and Thomas have both dedicated your entire business life really to connecting people. Why is that so valuable to you? Why is that so important to you?
Well, it's Thomas that taught me that. So when I met Thomas, I was 24 and I was in a nice, very well paid job as sales and marketing director of a tech firm. And Thomas was an entrepreneur and had a small telemarketing business, punched way above his weight with the sort of clients they had. And he actually came in to sell to me to get some of my business. He was aligned to a company called Adobe, and he was coming in to get my marketing cooperative fund. And anyway, we got married within a year and a month of meeting. So he got the order in the end. But, when I observed Tom, I never ever, this might sound terrible, but at 24, I hadn't heard of the term networking. Networking literally was the way you network computers together for me. I hadn't actually heard of the term networking, didn't know it existed. But I used to see Thomas just connecting people unconditionally all the time. He's got a the sort of memory that's actually a little bit weird. Sometimes it freaks me out. I think Hannah's got this memory as well, where he can literally look up a tag in his brain and take himself back to a person he met in 1992, where they were working, what was going on in their life. And so his ability to connect people was phenomenal. So when I came up with the idea of Academy, it was sort of a journey of purpose to connect people, but it was also that Thomas had become this gateway, and it meant everybody was coming to Thomas. And it was starting to really pee me off to a certain extent, because here I was, a young mum with 3 young children, and I was cooking up pasta meals for people, and that he would bring them around so they could meet one another. But he wasn't leveraging it financially. He was just unconditionally doing it for people. There was no business model behind it. But it was taking up masses of his time, and therefore was going to affect our family's income ultimately. But he loved doing it. And so I think there was a sort of joining of thoughts when we came up with the Academy of, well, rather than you being the gateway on it, if everybody joins a community where the values are really high and they get to know one another, then they don't need to come through you. And so I learned about the power of networking and introductions and referrals. And it's a really interesting thing now that's happening. Very few people get referrals, and I mean good referrals. Referrals that actually mean something, that's not just another, let's have a chat. A real true referral means people deeply know what sort of client would work for them and what sort of skill that person needs. And I think this is why small intimate groups work so well. And that's why we continue to do this world, but now in a much smaller way, because when we had 6,500 members, 650,000 members, no way we could know everybody. No. Now Thomas can apply his connectivity skills, and I can apply the emotion of building community. We can do it together, but he's the phenomenal connector.
Wow, that's so interesting. Sorry, Caroline, did you have a question?
No, I was going to say networking was singularly the most powerful thing to build my business when I started out as a coach. Yeah. And I hadn't done anything like that before then. And we initially started to swap skills, use it as a referral place. You only had the yellow pages then. Much better to refer on a web designer that you knew, or a graphic artist, and it really helped my business. The goodwill of good connection is amazing for business.
Yeah, it is.
I think also networking, many people are fearful of networking, and it has, like everything, there are good and bad networking groups. And I think, I get told off a lot for calling it quite fake, but I think that's the power of building these small, intimate peer groups or mastermind groups, that it's not fake anymore, because people, they network with trust, and they get to know, they build a relationship rather than just purely network for sales. And that support and that relationship and trust is more valuable than any sale, and will lead to sales anyway. So it's totally different.
It is, and we can't expect to be brilliant at everything in business. And if you go to a network, you say, well, this is my primary skill, so if anybody needs that, but actually I have this raft of secondary skills that I need really a lot of help with. But that's about that openness of saying I need help, isn't it? And you have to find networks that allow that culture.
But it's also, the networking group is your tribe. It's your absolute tribe. So you can say to other people, your husband, your daughter, your family, I'm doing this in my business. But so I don't know about noises. Sounds like someone's printer machine's on.
It is. I'm sorry. That's Thomas has sent something off to the printer. Apologies.
I thought it was me. I took the blame for that.
I'll give him a good sorting out later.
But with your business with your business tribe, they're the ones who are supporting you. They get what you're trying to do. They understand your dreams. So I think it's important to have like-minded, business orientated people around you to help support you. It's as you said earlier, it's a lonely journey. So get like-minded people in your network to keep you going, to support you, to get you there.
Yeah.
So many people. At the moment we're building a new form of community, and it's very interesting when you reach out and people contact us about it, how many people want a network to be a marketplace. You know, how much business do you think I'll get out of it? What sort of people are there that I could sell to? And I just think they just do not get it. But what's really interesting is, you know, if you're not explicit about it, if you just implicitly enjoy it, and the business you get from it is phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. So Penny, tell us and share with us, you know, in the true spirit of openness, has COVID affected your business at all? And if it has, how have you got around it?
Oh, wow. Yeah, absolutely it did. I mean, when I was in my entrepreneurial mindset of building a scalable business, I had investors and I had, you know, all sorts of things that were additional pressures. And then when I started my mastermind groups, I thought, right, this is lovely, small, containable. It's not about building an asset. It's about income. It's, you know, nothing can destroy this. And it was all based on offline masterminds. And I had a very clear cash flow, as you know, about how much money will come in and what our income will be and how much money we can put aside for stuff. And then, of course, that just fell apart. And we carried on meeting virtually, and I extended, because if people buy the 12 months, they buy the 12 months offline. So, you know, for us, for example, we're on month 21, aren't we, or something? So, you know, I was determined to do that. But there was no way of selling another mastermind. And by now we should have done, and that would have generated nearly £150,000 worth of income. So yeah, I mean, our business is halved this year, and we didn't think anything could do it to us again. But it did mean that we had to adapt again. And so we thought, well, could we actually do the online world again? So we loved the online world. We did it really well last time, but we didn't like the scale of it. So this time we've done it with just 100 people. And it's lovely. We're looking for 100 people. We've now recruited 20 of those 100. I'm out really selling, you know, I'm connecting with people on LinkedIn. I'm getting rude rejections. I'm having to have really thick skin because I find it amazing how some entrepreneurs treat other entrepreneurs. But at the same time, I'm having the most phenomenal conversations with people that are saying, yeah, actually, this is the time I do need community.
Yeah.
So
fabulous. So sorry, Kim, go on.
Sorry, I was just going to say, Helen has asked us a question, which is networking a male or female thing? Is it because girls tend to use it to build relationships and boys use it to sell?
It's very interesting that. I think women naturally do networking, don't they? They're so brilliant at it. Men are, I'm being very generalist, more looking for that marketplace environment. Having said that, we need more women in our new group. We've only got 4 women out of the 20. And which is really interesting because this group is sold as a very vulnerable space to get emotional well-being support as well as skills. So it's quite interesting because I think men do want it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we always end on a tip from all of us. So Penny, what would your tip be?
Well, I think you've heard enough from me, though, haven't you? But I would say, you know, just build. I would say now is the time to start really thinking about 2021 and build your plan around the life you want to lead and include your wellness into that.
That's lovely. Thank you. Caroline, your tip for this week?
I would reiterate perfection. Sorry, I've got my words. Progress beats perfectionism. So get on with it. Stop making excuses. You can't blame the lockdown. The lockdown's giving you time to get on with stuff. So I think, you know, just any small step is in the right direction. Don't overthink it. Just get on with it.
And there's only 7 days of lockdown left, so get on with it. Kim?
I would say find your tribe. So get out there and find the people that are going to support you. We know that it's lonely at the top, but it's never been less quiet. So find the people that can help you cut through the noise to focus on the things that are really important and then take the action.
Nice.
I agree. And I'll just finish with invest in those people. So invest in those emotional bank accounts, invest in that relationship as well. Mm-hmm. So Kim,
can I just say one last thing?
Yes.
One thing that I cannot have done without is a business coach. And the 3 of you are phenomenal coaches. And so I would say to people, if they are a little bit lost and they're trying to create their plan for next year, connect with one of the 3 of you, because it is phenomenal the way that you support people and change lives as coaches. As I just want to say that.
Thank you, Penny. Thank you very much. So Kim, how can people get hold of us and speak to us and come on this show?
Absolutely. You can get in touch with us at www.businessblondes.tv or find us on social media as Business Blondes. And we would be delighted to have more of you to join us in the hot seat. Penny, you have been a delight as always.
Oh,
The audience is going to love getting to know you a little bit more
thank you.
as we get to have.
Unknown caller.
Oh, that's me. That's me. Oh God, Thomas and I have been a disaster.
On that note,
I'm going to go and sort Thomas out.
so we will see you all next week.